Yeah, there's some water over there if you'd like.
My wife for the water.
So, good afternoon. We're happy to have each of you here at the Lost Skills program. And this is our second one for this year. Next month, you'll see in your folder, if you didn't get one, they have the flyers out there. The one for next month is going to be herbs, growing your own herbs. And they'll have information on not only growing them, but how to preserve them and how to use them, some medicinally and some, and some of them are both medicinal and culinary. So the lady who's going to be doing that she has an herb shop up on 140. So she's going to be doing that. Okay, so today, and I think most of you are familiar with our Lost Skills. And the reason we have our Lost Skills program every time is because we're trying to help people be as self-sustaining as possible, just to learn new skills that we don't always learn otherwise. But before we begin our Lost Skills today, I would like to have a word of prayer. Dear Father in heaven, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the good weather, and I just pray that you will be with us as we talk about how to make our homes more organized and decluttered and a peaceful place where you can bless us in our homes. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Okay. I have a disclaimer. I am not qualified to do this one. I have a real hard time with home organization, or I have had. I'm doing better with home organization and decluttering. But, I'm going to share the things that I have been learning, and maybe it'll be a blessing to you, too. So I did my best to try to find somebody who could do this program, and just couldn't find anybody. And so I kept praying, and the Lord said, well, you got 3 months. That was at the beginning. Well, I worked hard, but, things just keep coming up, But I have been faithful at really trying to learn skills in it, and I'm not giving up. So that's one of the big things. Now, God is a God of order. And, I was studying about the children of Israel and their encampment, and the sanctuary was in one spot. And on the east side, I think it was the Levites. I should have looked it all up for you. But anyway, I think the Levites were on the east side because that's the way that faced, that was towards God. And then on the other 3 sides, all the other tribes were encamped. Certain order. It was always in an order. And one thing I learned this morning in reading the story of Balaam, that when he was telling when Balak asked him to curse the children of Israel and stuff, and finally all that fiasco of the angel and the donkey and all that, finally when Balaam got there to curse, he said, well, I can only say what God will put in my mouth. Exactly. Balak took him up to a high prominence, where they worshiped the gods and stuff. And from there, they could see the children of Israel, their encampment. And it was huge, but it was well ordered. oh, you know, that helped me to know that I need to be more orderly in my home, you know. And also Job 10, verses 21 and 22, Job described the place where he thought he was going in death as a land of darkness and of the shadow of death, without any order, and where the light is as darkness. And another version says, a land of gloom and confusion. So I'm going like, wow, this is really getting me. Okay, so clutter weighs us down. You eat more, you sleep less, or maybe more because it's depressing you and you don't want to deal with it. You get depressed and overwhelmed. It's hard to relax, and it competes with mental abilities. Wow. So I heard an acronym for chaos. A cluttered and chaotic home can bring anxiety and confusion to your home. So the C for chaos. C is for can't. H is for have. A is for anyone. O is for over. S is for syndrome. Can't have anyone over syndrome. Isn't that it? Yeah, right. So a home where everything has a place and everything in its place can bring peace and comfort to your home and to each person in your home. But where do you start? I found I had to start here. You have to start with your mindset, because it's so easy to go, well, you know, it looks a little messy, but you know, it's always there. I was straightening it up a little bit, and you know, it's good enough, right? Mm-hmm. Especially for you, for your own family. It's good enough. Better than it was. That's a good one. And so it's easy to feel comfortable with clutter. And in fact, as we go along, some people have said, once you get your rooms really clean and decluttered, and so there's a whole lot less in them and everything, it can feel kind of uncomfortable for a little while, you know, until you get used to it. Okay, so one of the things that I found, it helped me spending time visiting family or friends who kept a really nice house. We've gone back and forth to Colorado. I have a cousin out there, and his wife keeps a very nice house. And I mean, it's not like sterile or anything, but everything is in its place. She has less stuff, you know, just doesn't have things here and things, you know, it's less stuff, even in her kitchen, even in her cupboards. And we spent 2 weeks out there last year, and it was like, I like this. This is what I want, you know? And sometimes you have to be in an environment for a little bit, you know, to really help yourself get there in your mind. When you're visiting somebody like that, bask in the peace of a clean home. Compare it with your own home. And pray that God will give you the desire to have an orderly home. That's what I've had to do. Also, set goals. I made up my mind to entertain more, to give me more motivation to keep the house in order. And that helps a lot, you know. And then if you do it on a regular basis and you've cleaned up certain things, and then you just do a little more. And I'll show you some of the ways Kathy and I have been talking about how to organize your cleaning, you know, day by day. Okay, so where do you start? Number one, you have to start with small things. You know, what do you do first? Do you declutter or do you clean? You know, just do your normal cleaning or what? It kind of depends on your home. And what I found, I had 2 rooms that weren't quite as hard to declutter, and there was some decluttering to do and stuff like that. So I really put myself to do, whether it's 1 room a day or whether it's 1 room a week, you know, and you declutter that room, and then have that, and then you want to make sure it stays clean. So I decluttered what needed done, and then I cleaned the room, cleaned it well. I felt I had won a victory, and then I went to the next room and did the same thing. I felt if I could get 1 or more rooms decluttered and keep them clean, I would be more motivated to do more. And I found this, I pulled this offline several years ago. I hate to say it, and it was in a notebook, ready to use. Excuse me. It was the website is the organized THEORGANISED, because it's from England. MUM, MUM.com. And I didn't want to give you all these 5 papers right now, but if you want us to copy my presentation for you for later, you can. I just didn't have a chance to get a handout made. But this Organized Mum, she has a whole website. You can go on there. I looked it up this morning again. On here it says organizedmum.blog, but I think that's and I couldn't get in on that one. I think that's the British one, you know. But anyway, so what she does, she has 4 different activities, which is a quick tidy, 15 minutes every day, you know. So you sweep and vacuum high traffic areas, you make the beds, you quick clean of the bathroom, and maybe a load of laundry if you choose to do laundry, you know, 1 a day. But those are quick things. But then she has Monday through Thursday. And she has the living room, the entrance hall and stairs, the bedrooms, the kitchen, like that. So each day, like Monday, it's always the living room. Thursday, it's always the kitchen, you know, that you're really doing. And she also has little duties for that. And did you hand out those? No, they're here. Okay. What? These?
No, you told me to hold them until after.
Oh, okay. Well, I think we'll put these out. You can give this out to them now. So what I did was I took this. This is Monday through Thursday, and then on Friday she has a Friday focus clean. And so she goes back to each of those places, the master bedroom, the entrance and hall, or whatever, and she does a deeper clean, okay? And things that you wouldn't do every week, but this is once every 6 weeks you do some of these things, okay, for the deeper cleaning. And so what I did, what you're going to get is, and sorry, I wanted to type it up, but I just didn't have time. But you're going to get my customization of her system that I've done. And you really need to, I would suggest go online and read more of her stuff and then come up with your own customization. And you'll see the first page has Sunday through Friday. And I chose my focus clean to be on Mondays. And so that's when I would do my focus clean. But other than that, and I didn't finish up my dining room. I haven't put all the tasks there. But I found that having tasks listed, it's easier. I don't have to think, oh, what all do I have to clean? Oh, I just have to vacuum or whatever. I'll remember more of those detailed cleaning things that I can do, you know. And so that really helps a lot, having the tasks there. Because it just helps me not to have to think of it, and I can just get that done, check, 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 done, you know. What I also find is maybe not everything has to be done, like, maybe I wouldn't vacuum the bedroom every week because we aren't up there that much, you know, and things like that. But I can do something else in the bedroom during that time. You know, I can maybe clean out some drawers, you know, declutter a couple drawers or something like that instead of that. So I hope this helps a little bit. Like I said, I didn't get the dining room one finished there. Now the second page is the focus clean, and this one is not totally developed yet. But it gives you an idea of the deeper cleaning in some of the areas, you know, that you can do. You know, like in the kitchen, I'm not going to clean the oven every week, you know, but every 6 weeks, you know, is probably about right for most of the things that you do, things like that. So then you put this on a rotation, you know, every 6 weeks you do that, each one of these. So I felt that really helped us. Since my husband is always the last one up, the last one out of bed makes the bed, right? So, and he's learned that very, very well over the years. So he's very good at that. So I said, well, since you're doing that part of this quick clean, could you, because he's not working and he's, you know, he could help out, and I do a lot of the outside stuff that he can't do. So I said, well, can you maybe sweep and vacuum the high traffic areas, you know, and do a quick clean of the bathroom, you know, sink and toilet, and whatever. Shake the rugs that they needed, or, you know, stuff like that. And so that's been working out fairly good. He's trying to get into that. One of the things I really didn't address in my notes here, but I will right now, is sometimes with your family members, you get pushback. You know, oh, well, that doesn't look that bad, you know, so why do you have to do that, and stuff like that. But, you know, if you just, well, I just want to do it, it'll make me feel better, you know. And when you get it done, they're going, my husband says, that looks really nice. And then, you know, just lately, sometimes it's hard to keep up with this. But you have to kind of make up your mind. And maybe, like Tuesdays, Kathy and I have a Bible study that we do. And sometimes it's hard to get that bedroom done, you know, because of that. But just come back and try to get it in with the next days if you can, or whatever, if you missed it. Or just do the parts that you really need to do, maybe some picking up in the bedroom rather than the vacuuming and all the other stuff, But what I find is just trying to work through it. We've had some real challenging times lately, since the beginning of February. My mother's been sick and in the hospital and needing more care and stuff like that. And so the last 2 weeks, my house has kind of gone like this, and it's driving me nuts, And my husband and I were talking about it last night. We can hardly wait because we have a caregiver coming in tomorrow and stuff like that, and it's going to be easier. I'll be able to have a few more hours in a row to do stuff at home, and we're both kind of looking forward to it. I said, then we can get back in this routine and get it done where we feel more comfortable. We had some dear friends come over a week ago, this last Friday night, for just a little bit, and the wife says to me, Martha, your house looks so nice, it's so clean and everything, and I just, thank you, because I was on top of it, I was ready, and it makes a big difference. It makes a big, even in your own thinking and things like that. So, now we're going to get to decluttering a little bit. So we talked about the cleaning, and like I said, sometimes you kind of have to do it concurrently if you can, just to keep stuff going, and at least that's what I find. But there are other ways that people do it. Did you know that 1 in 10 homes in the USA rent storage units? Wow. Some more statistics. In 1950, the average home was 1,000 square feet with 1 garage. Today, the average home is 2,400 square feet with 3 garages, a shed, and sometimes a barn. So, there are 2 kinds of clutter. One is situational clutter. And that might be where your parent dies or Aunt Sue dies and you inherit, because you've been helping her or whatever, you inherit a bunch of stuff. Or a child moves back home with all of their stuff. So that's situational clutter. But then there's another kind of clutter. It happens because, online shopping is so convenient. It's 2 for the price of 1. Maybe had a bad day and you reward yourself with shopping. Or family heirloom. I just can't get rid of this. Or piles of paper. Something might have broken, but you keep it because I could fix it someday. Someday never comes, right? Or another thing, that might be good for something, a good sturdy piece of cardboard that you could cut out as a template for something or whatever. I mean, how many of us see things like that? I'll put it here and someday I'll use it. Someday never comes. Okay, so different ways that you can declutter.
How many types, how many were there?
Of what?
Name 6 of them? Can you go over those real quick again?
Of the clutter accumulating or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Situational.
There were 2. One was situational clutter, and that was your parent dies. your child moves back in. And then there's the other kind of clutter was all these different things like online shopping, 2 for the price of 1, a bad day and a reward. You reward yourself with shopping, or family heirlooms, piles of paper, and something breaks but you keep it, and something might be valuable, you could use it sometime and you keep it. Okay? So there are different ways you can declutter. Of course, it has to do with your personality, your home, your whatever you're decluttering. Some people recommend setting a time for setting a clock or whatever, or a timer for 1 to 2 hours, or figure out how much time you have you're going to declutter. It could be 15 to 30 minutes. You have a little bit of time. Okay, I'm going to do 1 drawer or whatever. Set a timer, and most people recommend doing it in manageable periods of time. Excuse me. So that you aren't getting burned out. Now remember, your house didn't get cluttered overnight, did it? So it's not going to get cleaned or decluttered overnight either. It's going to take some time, but you can do it. Give yourself time and patience and grace. Organize 1 step at a time. Just don't give up. So, one working mom that I listened to, her little testimony, they had accumulated a whole lot of stuff. They'd gone through a period of financial stress and stuff like that, and people were saying, oh, could you use this or could you use that or whatever, and all of a sudden after a while she's like, oh my goodness, a double-wide mobile home, and it was full. And she says, I have got to get this decluttered. So she was a working mom. Her husband, she had a husband and 2 boys, but she had every Wednesday off. And so she decided, because that was the only time she had off, she was going to do decluttering every Wednesday. And she worked from early in the morning till she went to bed, decluttering. It took her 3 weeks to clean out enough space to, what she said, to stage the stuff from the living room. And then she had to keep going, and she didn't give up. In 16 weeks,
Wow.
she got her home decluttered. The only room that was, she didn't declutter every drawer and every, she still has stuff to go, but it was all that stuff. Her house was much more pleasant, in 16 weeks, and a lot of work. Her one son, her younger son, his wasn't done yet. She still had to work with him on that. But because Mom was doing all this work, and the family saw the difference in the home, her older son came to her and said, Mom, I want to get my room decluttered. And he started doing it himself, and he decluttered his own room. So, that's another thing. If you get pushed back, just do it yourself. Oh, one of the things I also didn't put in here, I'm saying this, I usually follow it, but I have been known not to. But don't try to declutter your spouse's stuff. It doesn't work real well. What?
That's not where you start.
No, that's not where you start. You start with your own, and you really, because once they see some things, then they will, they'll trust you, and they will, they'll get the hang of it, and maybe you'll say, what do you want to do with that? And they'll go, oh, you know, it hasn't worked in a while, let's get rid of it. You don't have to be the one saying it or whatever, you know, because they've seen you getting rid of your own stuff. Okay, so there are different ways that you can, let's see, in decluttering, these are the, there's 6 points on this one. This mom who decluttered in 16 weeks had these tips. Have a staging area. So as you're trying to clean out, say, the living room, you need some place to put stuff that's going to go back in there. So you have to have stuff cleaned out enough so that you have a place for a staging area. 2, have 3 garbage bags. 1 is to toss, things to toss. 2 is things to keep. 3 is things to give away. Now, somebody else had the 4th one, things for storage, if you're going to store it. And I think I'm going to get to this other point in a little bit here. So what you should do is empty the room that you're working on. This is number 3. Empty the room you were working on. And only put back what you actually use. So if you're cleaning out the living room and, you know, there's some things in there that you don't use exactly, only put back the things you're going to use. Another point she had was reduce your clothing. Hold on to your chairs here. Reduce your clothing by 80%. If you really look at your closet, and I have to look at mine too, how much of it? You don't have to go 80%. You can decide on another percentage, but people, most of us, wear 20% of the clothing that's in our closets.
Especially since I'm retired now, I don't need them.
Yeah, you don't need as much. Okay. Also, number 5, work through family pushback. And number 6, don't give up with setbacks. In fact, she was suffering after all this, after the 16 weeks of that. Then she was having some back problems, so she had to kind of put it on hold for just a little bit, you know. But, okay. So, here's some, I looked into some other methods of decluttering here and there, not a lot. I wished I had had more time, but there are many, many methods out there on decluttering. One I heard about was that you go through your house, your whole house, and deal with all the papers. You know, you have your garbage bag, throw them away. You go through the whole house and take care of all the papers. And then, and putting this ones aside that you need to file. Then you go on to the electronics, do the same thing, you know, get rid of anything that doesn't work, doesn't have cords, doesn't have whatever, you know. Or put, if you think maybe there's something that a cord goes to, put the cords, I put mine in a little basket that, okay, I'm gonna that's the first thing. But if it's very long, they're going to go because I don't want to keep all the cords and, not have a thing. Usually it's the cord we're missing. So, and so they go one item or one category at a time. I find that a little bit harder because I like to get one room done, And so I find if I declutter one room at a time and have a system of keeping that room clean, as we talked about before, then I do much better. It gives me more motivation. Set a timer for the amount of time you have to spend decluttering. I'm saying that again. Set a timer and just do that. And maybe you feel like you have other things you got to do. Well, fine, but this is the time you're doing the decluttering, and then you can go on to those things. Put some cheerful music on. But I would suggest some organized music, not rock or something else that's going to get you, riled up. Or put on a YouTube video of somebody decluttering while you're working, kind of gives you a little motivation. Okay, so we did talk about the 3 bins or 4, toss, keep, give away, and storage. Black plastic bags, some people, and years ago I saw somebody say a box, that has that written on it so you know what you're doing with each one of them. But lately I've been hearing black plastic bags are best because you can't see what's in there, or your family member can't see what's in there and go fishing.
And they're bigger.
What?
They're bigger.
Yeah, they're bigger too. Just don't fill them so full that it's hard to carry them. Because some of them are pretty big. Okay. At the end of your decluttering session, your end of your half hour, hour, 2 hours, whatever you decide, then you take the bag that is to keep and things that belong in other rooms, then you need to go put them away where they need to be. And then the trash one, you put in the trash if it's full enough. Otherwise, I have a place I can just set it till the next day. And then also, if the stuff that you're going to give away, take it right out to the car. If you aren't gonna, if it's not gonna be in your way, that you can have it in the car so that when you're going past the thrift store, you can drop it off. Okay. So recycle or throw out anything that is broken or does not work. I have a bunch of stuff, and I don't know what to say. I've had one or two things here or there that I've been promised something was going to be fixed, and it kind of goes away in one of those black bags that nobody can see in. But you have to choose your battles, okay? Because I'm going to fix it someday, and someday never comes. So, how do you get past sentimental value? Maybe a little music box that Mom had, or whatever. You know, all these things that we can get that have sentimental value. First of all, give yourself grace. You have to be ready to get rid of things, okay? You have to be in that mindset. Maybe after a while of decluttering and you see all this, see how nice it looks and what you've been able to do with the room that you got from getting rid of stuff, then maybe you're a little bit more ready. You have to kind of decide that yourself. remember, your house is a home. It's not a museum. And sometimes we have to, I'm not giving any judgment on anybody, believe me. But sometimes it's easy to just, oh, you collect this and you collect that and whatever. It has to be up to you what you want. Surround yourself with things that make you happy. That's one of the criteria. So when you come to things that you're trying to decide what to do, set them out, look at them, and enjoy them. And then ask, does this bring back pleasant memories? If so, maybe you want to keep it. Do I want to display it? Sometimes you can take a picture of it, and then that gives you, okay, I have that memory. And then you feel you can give it away. Whatever. Those are just some ideas that some people have given, okay? Again, I'm not passing judgment on anybody on that. It's just that I know that we all struggle with some of those things, you know. Okay. Another person said, donate clothing that you have not worn in 1 or 2 years. Because you're waiting on me losing a little weight. Does that ever come? Sometimes it does, but not more often than not, no. But not only that, maybe it's sort of, you think you're going to wear it, but then maybe it's sort of out of date or whatever, you know. And if you go to thrift shops, maybe you can find something that you really, really want, you know. The other thing is, some people have said, put it on and say, does this make me happy? And if it's, oh, it's okay, then give it away. Okay. If you cannot decide whether to part with anything, you can put it in a bin. This is one lady did this. She had a bin that was labeled something like deciding on, or, you know, anyway, it's something that maybe, you know, maybe keep. And so you put it in that bin, you put it downstairs or in a closet somewhere where it's out of the way for a little while. And then you go back and you revisit it. Did I miss it? No, I really didn't miss it. I wouldn't have used it for anything. And then you can feel that you can donate it or find somebody else who would like it or whatever. In fact, isn't it this coming Saturday night we're having a white elephant gift exchange? I found mine today. Oh, dear. Okay. And the way I found it was, my next clue is, don't have duplicates or don't over-equip your house. And unless there's a very, very good reason. Like maybe you don't want to have to go downstairs to get such and such every time you need it upstairs, and then, you know, it has to be a really good reason, though, that you need something. Sometimes some people have several crock pots, and maybe it's because something you use for a little one, but then you take stuff to potluck, you need the big one, or, you know, stuff like that. But what I found that I had was, I have a little food processor, just little tiny one, does some onions or something like that. It's nice. And then I have a stick blender that has a little bowl for a food processor. And I've been after my husband because it broke, and I've been thinking I need to get that replaced because I like to grind my Roma and some chocolate powder in it, you know, and make kind of a Roma chocolate thing, you know. And that was always nice to have. But today I'm thinking, no, we don't need to replace that bowl because I have that little one. I have the stick blender little bowl, and then I have a Ninja Bullet, and I have my blender. Like, wait a minute. All these different things, and so I'm starting to rethink these things. What do I really, really need? And a lot of these, I didn't buy all these things. Maybe I found something at a garage sale, or this was a gift, or that was, you know, whatever, inherited from somebody. And I'm like, okay, I need to try to clean these things out. Now, for you guys, same thing happens with your tools. One of the things that I have done, because, I'll get to the tools in just a minute. Let me go on with what I'm doing here. Okay, so you can make more space by getting rid of half of what you own, some people say. Now, you know what I did recently? Now, I have a box. I try to keep a running box for donating, you know. And I don't keep it very long because I don't want people pulling stuff out of it, including me. But I found these really nice teal plastic or tall glasses, you know, that I wanted. That was when we moved into the house we're in now, and I'm thinking, oh, I want to go that color and everything. And guess what? And then I had some gray ones that went with the dishes that I had. And I realized recently, I don't use those teal ones. In fact, I found they break a little bit easier and stuff. So I decided, I'll take those out of the cupboard up there. Guess what? I have more room. That thing, I can take that out. And I ended up with more room. You know, your cupboards don't have to be all crammed in. In fact, it's a whole lot easier when there's room in between everything. I didn't realize that, but it is. I've been starting to get there. Okay. Also, don't overstock on things. It's sometimes easy, you need this and that, but you know, and I do a lot of canning, so that's kind of a different thing. I have all my canned goods, and I go through those within a year or just over a year. But I like to go shopping at Aldi or something like that. That's an interesting thing, you know, can of this or can of that. Then I get it home, and I don't use it for a long time. And then it's outdated, you know? I have to be more careful about doing things like that. It's easy to think we have to store everything up for ourselves and be selfish, where in fact, maybe we can share our excess with others who need it. And the parable that Jesus told in Luke 12:16-21 about the rich man, who had a very fertile farm, and it was producing more than his barns could store. So he said to himself, I'm going to tear down my barns and build bigger ones. And then that'll store all my wheat and other goods. Then I'll sit back and say to myself, you have enough stored away for years to come now. Just take it easy. Eat, drink, and be merry. But God said to him, you fool, you will die this very night. Then who will get everything you worked for? And the thing is, if we hold on to all our stuff, it's kind of like that, you know? So, okay, now the tools, guys. My husband has this habit of needing this, needing that. I mean, it's been for years and years, and I know the previous place we lived, he would bring the stuff, all his tools in that he had used fixing a car or whatever, and drop them on the front porch. And I'd have to, if I wanted it clean, I had to pick them all up and decide what to do with them. Well, he had, up in the garage, he had tool chests and all that kind of stuff. I didn't know where anything was. But I was sick of and tired of all these tools on my front porch. So I went and I got things like this, totes. Some of them were this size, like some of them were bigger, you know, and I labeled them all. And one is for all the screwdrivers. You would not believe how many. You know, you don't need but 4 or 5 different kinds of screwdrivers, but there were a ton of them. Hammers, and you know, all the different things. So I put all of them in bins like this. And we had a bookcase there on the porch. So I could just put them in on the porch because he'd come in and go, oh, where's my screwdriver? Or where's my measuring tape or whatever? Guess what? I could go on the porch and find it. I did teach him to do that too. Now then the trick is to get them back in here. And sometimes you have to keep working at it and stuff like that. But I have found that organizing like this really helps a lot. And I'm working on his shop too, doing that. You know, getting them in bins so he knows where it is. Am I going to have to redo it? Yeah, I'm going to have to redo it. But it just makes it a whole lot easier. Then when he asks me something, wow, we know where it is. Okay? And this is like, this one is adhesives because it was one of the cleaner ones. But, you know, they work. And the thing is, it's really nice to have the clamps on them, you know, to make sure. And then they stack up nicely. I have one of these wire racks, you know, and they stack up nicely on that. Now, is my area totally clean? No, not totally right now. But, you know, you can get there. And yeah, better than it was, that's for sure. Okay, another organization tip, and this can be men, women, everybody, with paper. Never touch a piece of paper more than once. So you get your big thing of mail, and it has this advertisement for this, and you toss it in the trash can. And it has the Discover card that you don't want, you toss it in the trash can. And all these different things, and you know probably about 80 to 90% of your mail goes in the trash can. But you don't have to, you don't set it down, you bring it in, I'm working on that. I'm still having a hard time, but I'm working on that. And as we said before, everything has a place and everything in its place. Oh, you can make a no buying policy until all your rooms are dejunked and organized. And it does make a difference when you're going shopping. You're going like, wait a minute, do I really need this? Because I'm trying to get rid of stuff. Make your organization pretty. Some people love to just, you know, baskets, pretty baskets or whatever, you know. Make it attractive for your places that you do organization. Some people use these hanging shoe organizers, and I have used that too. I put my duster in the closet. You know, I have my dusters in there, my recycle bags, or you know, things like that. You know, anything to put in there. Did you?
Worked really good for like winter hats, scarves, gloves.
Oh.
You do that too in your closet.
That's a
You
good
can all that
idea.
stuff in one place and organize.
Yeah, for those online, Alice said that to put those shoe organizers, those hanging shoe organizers, work really nice to put winter hats and gloves and scarves and stuff like that in and keep them together. Okay. The other thing I do, label, label, label. I have my labeler that I use all the time. And some people might think, okay, yeah, it does cost some money for the labels, for the strips, or the, but you know what? I find this is a Brother labeler, and I find I don't buy the Brother one. Other things you have to. When it has to do with printers and ink and stuff like that, you really have to buy the real thing. But this I haven't had any trouble with, and I go online and I'll get 10 of these for a good price. And then I have them for a while, and it's just easy, and I use it all the time for just everything. So, let's see. What papers to keep? We're almost done here. Okay. Tax papers up to 7 years.
For 7 years, you're saying?
7 years for tax papers. Anything over 7 years, you can toss that. Medical records. Now, you don't have to keep them all. Like if you get lab results, you know, keep one, and then next time you get lab results, compare the two, and then toss the one out, and stuff like that. Those are some ideas. But of course you want to burn or shred them, any of these things, okay? Things you want to keep are any of your house papers, you know, your mortgages, your, you know, any of that stuff. Appliance papers, you know, like the warranties or the little booklet that comes with it, instruction booklet and all that kind of stuff. You want to keep it. But recently, I went through my big thing of those little booklets, and I'm going like, oh, I don't have that anymore. I don't have that. So you need to remember to go through them and toss the ones out that you no longer have the appliance or whatever for. Okay, some people who work for themselves or self-employed or whatever, they need to keep receipts for their taxes for different things. One lady said that they have a little box in a cupboard, and every time they get a receipt, it goes in that little box, you know, for the year. They're able to have the receipts that they need, and then when the taxes are done, what they had to use, the receipts that they had to use for the taxes get filed with those tax papers, but the rest of them get tossed. pay stubs, they recommend you keep those for 3 years. 3 years.
Which one?
Pay stubs.
Okay.
And then to store your papers, store them in a 2 to 4 drawer file cabinet and store them alphabetically in folders. And if you need more information on Dave Ramsey at ramseysolutions.com has good information on papers, how to store your papers, which ones need to be kept and everything. So I have, and like I said, how many people would like this whole thing? 1, 2, okay. So Alice will copy. I think you have, what? Oh, 3? Yeah. Okay. We'll copy those for you. And then some of the resources that I looked at, one of the ones that I kind of like watching, but I've been a little bit discouraged with her lately, but she's pretty good. Her previous YouTube videos, The Minimal Mom. The Minimum Mom. And a lot of this information that I've been giving to you came from Patsy Tower. It'll be on here. I can give you, I went on Audioverse, it's the app Audioverse, and you can go to the presenters and put in Patsy Tower, or Tower, go to Tower, T-O-W-A-R, and then pull up hers. She spoke at the Michigan Conference Camp meeting in 2023. Had 5 really good a little over an hour long seminars. And a lot of my information was from there too. And then you can look up home organization or decluttering. Put the home organization or decluttering on YouTube and find a lot of stuff that way. And you can also look up declutter on any podcast sites that you use. I was listening to one girl on podcasts about that. So I hope this has been helpful. Any help? Any questions? Yes, Richard?
I was gonna say, I think I have one appliance that does not work in the house.
Mm-hmm.
But the only reason why I hold on to it, I wanna get fixed, the stand mixer.
Uh-huh.
They're about $500 to buy a new one.
They are, but do you have anybody who can look at it, or are you gonna have to pay for it to be fixed? Because if you have to pay for it to be fixed, sometimes that can cost a whole lot too. And sometimes you can find the stand mixers on sale. You have to weigh that, okay? And decide, you know, and do you have a place for it? If you don't have a place for it, then, you know. But that's something you have to kind of just make the decision on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, anybody else?
Those wire racks are excellent. I just bought one last week and cleared out a whole pile of stuff.
The wire racks will hold a whole lot of stuff, and yes, I have several of them that I use, especially downstairs in the basement where I keep my canned goods and my home canned goods, you know. I have, yeah, and pantry items, you know, like bulk pantry items I put on there too.
One thing I could add is that during summertime, you could do a garage sale or
Yes.
those things that
Yes.
are good, but you don't need.
Yeah. In spring, summer, and fall, sometimes you can do the garage sales. It all depends on what you enjoy doing. If you enjoy doing a garage sale, fine. If you don't, it's not worth it. You know, and donate.
Clutter can also be a fire hazard. I don't know if you mentioned that or not.
What it can be?
Clutter can be a fire
Oh,
hazard.
definitely.
Fire hazard.
It can be, definitely.
And the other thing I was gonna add is, you said something very similar, just break things down into like 15-minute sections. Well, I read this short article the other day about getting more said that if you just tell yourself you're gonna do it for 15 or 20 minutes, and then at that point you still don't wanna do it, stop. But a lot of times that'll give you the motivation to keep going.
That is so true. Richard was saying that if you say I'm going to do something for 15 or 20 minutes and you don't want to do it after that, you want to stop, then stop. But so many times you're in the middle of something and you're motivated, and so just keep going if you can. Yes, very definitely.
I wanted to comment on this because I made my own list up and I kept changing it and changing it, revising it. I finally ended up turning the paper this way. And on the one side, I had just enough room to put 6 days, okay? And on the other side, daily, stuff I address every day, like the mail.
Oh,
the
good.
dishes,
Yeah,
And it has worked really well for me.
good. Maybe sometime when you're around, take a picture of it or make a copy of it. And yeah.
That's a good idea.
So there are different ways of organizing things, and I don't know, I'll put this up here just in case they can see it, I don't know. But there's different ways of organizing, but I would suggest, and it'll be on here, that, and for those of you online, that you go for this organizing method, that you go to the Organized Mum, M-U-M, and organized in British spelling was with an S apparently, rather than a Z that we usually do. The organizedmum.com. And you should be able to find her information there. That was very helpful to me. So, I have a labeler. I don't have the cartridges to it. It's different than this one. But I have gone online and I've looked, and you can get the cartridges. So if there's anybody who wants a labeler, I'm willing to give it up. If there's more than one person, we'll take numbers. So, well, let's have a word of prayer, and we'll be finished. Dear Father in heaven, we thank you so very, very much for your love for each one of us. Lord, I thank you that you are a God of order. And I just pray that you will help each one of us to be able to learn how we can be more orderly and to rightly represent you in our homes and in our lives. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Good job.
Thank you. Like I said, I don't feel qualified.
You were.
Who else wanted a copy? She did.
Melody wanted, yeah.
Cute little labeler.
What?
Cute little labeler.
Yeah, it's a little labeler, but it works good. And here's the cartridge. So,
I like this idea because you should see my garage, all kinds of tools.
Wow.
And I haven't
I
even
told
touched
you,
them.
and they don't organize them. My husband doesn't at least, some guys do, but no.
These aren't even getting used, they're just in there. But if I could sort everything out, I've got some in the house too.
And it's kind of nice to have some in the house.